Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on our channel. I am so excited for you guys to meet my guests today. So many incredible things to tell you about, so many incredible stories. And so, without further ado, I would love to introduce you to Valerie. Hell, tell us about yourself.
Hi, Lindsay. I'm so excited to be here. So I am Valerie Metric. I'm a certified life coach. I got certified about two and a half years now. Oh my gosh. Okay. Time flies. So I got certified and I um, didn't know what my niche was at that time. I just got a general certification. But I had a dating coach myself before that. She inspired me to do my own certification. And she helped me so much, not just around dating, but in so many areas in my life. And she inspired me to actually pick a same niche. So now I'm helping women over 35 that are single, stuck in dating, and finding their ideal romantic partner and say goodbye to the current and past dating pattern. And I think since my past relationships, I was married before, I was engaged before, after, and I always felt like I'm settling. I always felt like I'm not deserving of a loving and caring relationship. My upbringing wasn't really healthy either. So I didn't have that example at home, and I think a lot of us don't. So I'm not an exception. But then it's for you, it's kind of normal to attract toxic, to attract emotionally unavailable. And that's really what drove me to now also help women to see what's possible out there. And they don't have to choose what they know from the past. And truly showing them that they can have any relationship they desire. At any age, at any stage in their life, with any circumstance they're in, they can attract that. And yeah, that's my passion to help women to see that.
I love that so much. And it's so funny. I tell people this often, and some people who know me find it really surprising. Other people who know me don't, but I am like a closet lover of love. Like, if I had a podcast for absolutely no reason, but for fun, I would bring on people's stories of their loves because I think it gets very underrated these days. We have a lot of people who are like, I am solo, hear me roar, and that's okay. And I love that. But I love a really good love story. And I just am so excited to have these conversations because I think there are multiple types of people out there. Definitely people who are starting over because they've either gone through a divorce or a breakup or something. I'm almost 49, so for me, it's been like marriages, kids, divorces, second marriages. This is kind of the process we're going through. There's people who have chosen not to spend much time looking for love, and they either are now wanting to, or maybe somehow it got thrown in their face, which happens lovely. But and
Yeah.
even older women who maybe have lost a husband or lost and now they're ready to kind of give themselves that opportunity. So I love this conversation about relationships. So let me ask you this. So you said that you had your own relationship coach, and I think that's amazing. A dating coach. I think that's so fantastic. What was kind of your breaking point where you were just like, enough is enough? I am ready to figure this out for myself.
I actually, I'm originally from Germany, so I was born and raised there. I got married in Chicago. I lived there for 9 years. After my divorce, I was in a 5-year relationship, was engaged, the last year. Moved back to Germany, so it was kind of an escape for me to move back. Looking back now, in the brain I have now, I realized it was definitely an escape from the relationship. And I was just trying to find myself again. It was a very toxic relationship. And I had some examples around me. And I'm like, what do I need to do? What do I need to work on myself to attract that kind of love that I see in some instances? And a lot of times you don't know what's going on at home behind closed doors. But I always had a sense for energy of people in general. And then some couples, you see how there's just like a yin and yang. They just work together and they have their challenges. But I always was like, what do I need to do to create that for myself? So I did a lot of COVID hit. I did a lot of deep dive of like, why am I choosing the partners I'm choosing now? And a lot of it is past parents, upbringing. Um, and then I moved after or during COVID, in 2021, I moved back to the US. So I was always looking for love and I was always open to move for love. But I couldn't really figure out, for one, what is actually love, right? Like, what is a healthy relationship? I didn't even know that. So I had to really dig deeper. And one day, I remember I just started my new job in Tampa, and I just Googled it. I'm like, dating coach. And I was thinking of dating coach as like Hitch the Date Doctor as an example of a movie, like a fun movie, right? And I'm like, it would be cool to have a dating coach. So yeah, I hired her basically, and I said, I need your help. And we talked about everything. It took time to really break free from where I am at that time versus the whole, it took me at least like a year to work with her to really understand of what is actually possible for me and how do I actually let that go and step into the next version of me and see my future version. That's the most important
Mm-hmm.
thing. In order for you to think with a new brain and rewire, you need to see your future self. If you don't see your future self, and you know very well, right, you stay stuck. So you will continuously then attract what you've been attracting because that's what you know. So that was my true breaking point. And there were so many aha moments of like, number one, awareness. Like, what am I thinking? What am I thinking about myself? What am I thinking about men? What am I thinking about relationships, marriages? All that came up during working with my coach. And then I worked through with her. I started to attract the men that I truly desire. I saw more of what I didn't see before. And then I got through my own certification program. And yeah, so here I am today now, a certified life coach, doing the same for other women.
I love it. I love it. And I think it's so important. There's so many pieces that you said there. So obviously the future self thing is so passionate of mine, right? With everything that I talk about with my AI images, with vision boards and stuff like that. We know that we want to be our future self now. That's a big one. But I think also what you said about like you Googled like what it's that idea of like what is love? What does that even mean? And what does it even consist of? And I think some people don't know. I mean, I came from a very broken, divorcee family. I had two families, like the whole thing. And I remember when I first met my husband, I had no idea what a healthy relationship was. I was in a pretty toxic relationship all through high school, all through university, had no real idea what that was. And I didn't really sit down with myself either to think like, what would a good relationship be? I actually had no idea. And so, we had to kind of work those things through on the job, as I call it, because we got together and we started traveling together and doing all those things. But I think it comes back to what we know, what we don't know, what we think. And, I have a lot of people going through, divorces right now and new relationships. And one of the things I've always thought to myself, which is not something I've been through, we're actually going to have our 23rd anniversary is coming up in April. So like I've been with my husband for a long time, but how are you able to be happy with a partner when you're not happy with yourself? And I think that's a really big starting point. And I see people kind of ping-ponging from relationship to relationship thinking this one it will be better, yet they haven't really done much inner work. And then it breaks down and they're like, I wonder why that broke down. It must have been them. And then they go to another one and then it breaks down. And at some point you would hope they think, it must be something I need to do some work for me. So if somebody came to you and maybe they're following a similar path, or maybe they're just not finding their right, partner, what's the first thing you do with them to kind of get them to a space where, A, they know what love is, B, they are know what they're looking for, what they want. And then how do you kind of go inwardly with them first? And then do you kind of start working on the external stuff, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think the first step is always, and it's in every area, right? With every goal you have, you bring awareness. So, what is really blocking you? Because a lot of times we tend to put everything on the circumstance. Good example is I hear a lot of clients and a lot of single women, and even my friend circle, it's the city. Dating sucks here. But no matter where you ask, they're going to say the same answer. You can ask people in New York. You can ask people in LA. There's
Yep.
so many people. You can here in Tampa. Nobody ever said, oh, yeah, dating is amazing. So it's always the outside is kind of the problem. And we all do it. So it's not to judge or blame anyone, right? But it's the first step to bring awareness of like, oh, it's not the city. Oh, it's not my weight or it's not my age. It's actually, like you mentioned very well, it starts with you. It starts with you being so content with your own life and going through life with that energy. You will automatically attract healthy love. You will not even accept, if you love yourself unconditionally, you will not accept somebody that mistreats you or that is unhealthy, right? So it's like, so the first step is really awareness. What is your dating pattern? What have you been dating? Maybe I had clients, they haven't been dated for like 8 years, 10 years. I had one client, she never even had a relationship. So I really meet clients through all stages or journey in their life. And so first, I really try to understand what is blocking them. And then the next step is very important to get clear on your goals and values. And I don't think they need to 100% match, but a lot of them should align. It makes it just easier, right? So if one wants kids and one doesn't, I mean, it's very like logical, but you'd be surprised how many women date somebody because of the wrong reasons, because of
Right.
looks, whatever it is. And then they find out months later they don't even want kids. They don't even have the same goal. And this is where we need to be so honest with ourselves. What do we want? What are we looking for? What are the non-negotiables? And then we go from there. And then we know, okay, now we know what we want. Now we know what's blocking us. And then we kind of go on dates. So if somebody hasn't gone on dates for years, we're trying to find ways of where can we meet someone. Nobody likes online dating. That's one tool that we can use. But I also want the woman to be comfortable to do it. And not because I don't think if you feel happy and content where you live and with your life, you can meet someone anywhere. You can find love anywhere. I really truly believe that. So finding out where they can find it and then go from there, going into the execution, being the support, the mentor, being on their side when things come up, when they go get ready from a date. After the date, we kind of assess. So yeah, that's how I work with my clients.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's interesting. So I have two teenage daughters, and they're 17 and 15, and they always joke about the fact that my husband and I have set such high expectations for dating and love because of the relationship we have. And so then they go on to, oh, the sappy rom-coms, and like they've set us up for failure. And I don't believe that, because I truly, like you just said, if you can be happy and content with yourself, you can find love anywhere. And it may not be, rom-com material to a, the nth degree, but it absolutely should make you almost giddy with happiness and that excitement and the butterflies in your stomach kind of thing. And so I guess when people come with you with this, you see it, and I see it in friends that I have, and definitely my kids' friends and stuff, where they kind of like romance, love, they have like this really like negative thought behind it. What if somebody comes to you with that kind of idea, that they really do want love, but yet they have this persona where it's just like, ooh, romance, ooh, love, it sucks, nobody's out there. What is it that it's kind of like they think these high expectations of movies and relationships are ruining their chances of finding it, but yet they really do want it?
Yeah, I think I work a lot on where do those beliefs come from? What is it? Like when you see other couples happy in the park, hand in
Mm-hmm.
hand, what comes up for you? Like, do you really feel annoyed, disgusted? What comes up? Because it's true, a lot of times there's some women that want to be single. I believe most women stay single for the wrong reasons. Because I think at the end of the day, the most beautiful thing to feel is love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So share it with somebody and create something amazing. It's actually one of the most, and I will stick by that, but it's one of the most important decisions you will make in life is choosing your partner. So I try to figure out where this is coming from, because you see sometimes that hesitation of like, I need your help, and or they say, oh, I'm happy by myself. Like I don't want to share my partner with anyone. I don't want to tell him where I'm going and what I'm doing. But then deep inside, they do want that. So breaking the association between a relationship is kind of like a task or like something negative, like a negative association, and bring it to something positive where they can have the freedom in a marriage or in a relationship as well. So it's
Right.
interesting to observe my clients' brain where they go. So yeah, so I think a lot of times it's they gave up. They really gave up on, and it's that's what truly drives me to help, because we want it and we self-sabotage, and then we don't go after what we want. I think it's just, and one of the most valuable thing we have is time,
Right.
especially for women, right? If they think of wanting having children. And so yeah.
Hmm. It's so interesting. So what happens if, and I say this because I see this quite often as well, when you love somebody truly and you give yourself to them, you are in a very vulnerable state to get hurt. And oftentimes people don't like getting hurt, especially if they've been hurt in the past or cheated on in the past or treated crappy in the past. So, how do you coach with your clients to get to that space where you're like, I know this has happened before, but remember, not all men or not all women. Like, how do you kind of work with somebody to get vulnerable enough to really fall in love when they're so scared to fall in love?
Yeah, I think I challenge. As a coach, I think generally a good coach challenges, and I like to challenge my clients. So if they say all men are cheaters, I really challenge them and say, do really all men cheat? So
Mm-hmm.
really try to not joke about it, but almost like, really, like, do they really all cheat? And then they start thinking about it like, well, not all. And then it's like that next phase, like, okay, so some men cheat and then some men don't cheat. So I'm really the reprogramming, I'm using tools to reframe and reprogram their belief system. And when they say all men cheat, and if I could get them to like realizing, okay, some men cheat and some men don't. It's like a very, we can choose that. It feels better than saying all men cheat, because then it's like blocking. And this is how I work through them to get to the point of like, yeah, all men cheat, but I will attract a man that doesn't, and I'm deserving of a loyal man. So I'm slowly reprogramming that. But yes, it is, that's the it's, my process is simple, but it's not easy to get to that new stage, because it's a whole process, right? To get there. If you believe something for 20 years, for example, it takes time to get to
Yeah.
the truth, because we create our truth, honestly. Somebody could say all men cheat, and somebody could say, I didn't see any men cheat yet. I don't know, where are they? I don't see
Right.
them. So we really choose what we focus on, and getting them from a little bit better to a little bit better to eventually, okay, they don't even think about it anymore. Like, yeah, so what? Doesn't affect
Right.
me.
Yeah, I
So
love that. I love that. So let me ask you this. So you obviously sat down at your computer after you moved back to the US and was like, dating coach. That's how you kind of came up with that. What if somebody doesn't think that way, or maybe they're not sure, or maybe they haven't really thought about the fact that they could use some support in that area? So what are some of the things that you might say to somebody who's maybe not even realizing, you always think about like, they don't even know the problem. They don't know that there's a solution. They don't know, like, there's all of these different places. But so you sat down and wrote it into your Google search. What
yeah.
if somebody who's sitting here watching this being like, oh my gosh, I think she's talking about me. But how do they then get to that next place where they actually reach out to you? Like, what is that kind of push point for them? Or is it multiple things that different people come to you for?
I think overall they need to be somewhat curious and ready enough wanting to work with a coach. And I'm actually amazed, and fascinated, because for me, we are in the world of what we do for work. And for us, it's normal. But
Mm-hmm.
so many people still don't know what coaches are. They still confuse, oh yeah, it's, you could work, so I have friends, you could work for that matchmaking company. And I'm like, but I'm not a matchmaker. Or even confusing with therapy, right? I hear that a lot, where therapy is really, it's necessary in some instances, for sure. I wouldn't replace that, but it really focuses a lot on the past. And the coaches really can be transformational. So it's for for you long, for your future, for forever. So I think there's clients that are curious, but they're not ready to do the work or to work with me, or they don't believe that, it's going to work for them. And that's totally fine. But you need to have a little bit of that curiosity to at least find out, okay, let me see. That's why I offer my free consult call, where I give them the first 3 steps to see if, okay, could I work with her? And to be curious enough. There needs to be a little bit of that. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's super important because, like you said, there could be people here watching this and being like, "Oh, I'm fine. I don't need a coach. I'm happy single." And then, a year later, they're like, "I'm fine." No, I'm not actually fine. Like, hold on a second. I think I do need a coach. So it's definitely
Yeah.
an interesting phase. And I think you said it very, very well. Like when you live and breathe within, even the online space or just the coaching space in general, it's very normal. I mean, we have coaches for business. We have coaches for, so many things. I think about that all the time, where most people, when they think coach, they're like athlete. Well, I'm not an athlete, so I don't need to get better at tennis. So I'm not going to I'm not going to get a coach. So that's really interesting. It's like finding the people who might not even understand the concept of coaching and now figure out now that they don't know what it is, you have to let them know what it is. And then now that they
Yeah.
know what it is, you have to figure out how to do it within a relationship setting, which, can get very
Yeah.
challenging when it's multiple steps from that, for sure.
And I do have a interesting story because I host monthly. I host webinars or workshops for an hour every month. And it's right now it's always the same topic. I'm having my third one coming up. And last time I had one attendee, she's still married, but I was engaging them, right? That's what for me a workshop is like. I want them to be engaged. So I asked them questions, and she was really so interested, and you could tell she needed help. And she's still married, and she said, "There's something that draw me." I was talking to her afterwards. There's something that draw me to talk to. She's like, "I'm still married. I'm still going through. We're still figuring things out." And I told her, I said, "From my perspective, I don't even think you should focus on dating right now. I'd love to work with you, but I don't think you're ready." And I think for her, that's right, that curiosity of like, well, I'm not there yet, to or be ready to date yet, but I'm still curious. So yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
that a little bit of
A little bit of
curiosity.
everything. Yeah, it's interesting. So interesting. All right. Well, let's that's a beautiful segue into it. So you do your coaching. I know you have your monthly. So tell people if they want to find you, one, how they can find you with your weekly, your monthly workshops, also where they can find you on social media, that kind of thing. And then if there's anything you've got coming up, including this workshop, let us know where it is and how to register for it.
Yep. So I have a website, valeriemetriccoaching.com, where any single ladies can book the first 45-minute consult call that's completely free. And I'll leave you with the first 3 steps so you can decide if you want to work with me afterwards or not. I have a 12-week program if the woman wants to or decide to want to work with me. It's 12 weeks one-on-one coaching. And then I have Instagram, Valerie Metric Coaching. And I also have a monthly workshop that's on Eventbrite. So it's called How to Attract Your Ideal Partner in 2025. I will do it monthly. I will change up the topics a little bit. This is my third one coming up. And oh yeah, and then my freebie. So my freebie, you can download it also on my website, valeriemetriccoaching.com.
Excellent. Excellent. And so if you're watching this and you're like, wow, that sounds amazing. I will have all of that in the notes somewhere. So you can get registered for the webinar. You can book your free call with her and you can sign up for the freebie and you get it all. And you can get a nice little taste of what Valerie's all about. Because if you're watching this and you are single and you are definitely struggling a little bit, this is something to look into, because I truly believe like we were saying, coaching is that kind of pull to the future, that looking at that future self. It's not yes, you have to understand parenting and relationships and stuff in your past, but we don't, as coaches, we don't focus on the past. That is what your therapist is for. That's out of our scope of practice. That's all good. But here is where you can find. And so I love the name of your workshop, where it's like just very straightforward. You want to find your perfect match for 2025. This is it. So it will be somewhere. And I highly recommend anybody who is watching this, who is, asking or thinking or even just curious about what that would look like, to reach out, because the information and the coaching is incredible. So yeah, that's amazing. And so I just want to say thank you so much for joining us and letting us
You.
know all about your expertise on the single dating life and coaching that way. And guys, if you have any questions, I'm sure on Instagram or any of the socials, you can ask the question that if you got one while you were listening and sitting here watching. I'm sure Valerie would love to answer
Yeah,
those questions for you as well.
absolutely. Thank you, Lindsay, for this. This was fun.
Yes, thank you. And guys, again, until next time, don't forget to subscribe, like, share. If you know somebody who's single who was probably complaining about it at the last time you guys had your dinner party, maybe send them this video because it will help them out a lot. So have yourself a fantastic one, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a
Bye.
good day.
Bye.
Bye.